Blog Talk Radio.
Carol the Coach. Sex, love, and relationships. We talk about it here.
Carol the Coach. Compassion with contemporary relevance.
I am a psychotherapist. I can be your personal life coach, and I can help you with your issues. There are no problems too small or too big. You can talk about anything.
Speaker, columnist, radio TV host, and commentator. Carol the Coach brings messages of wellness and empowerment within reach of everyday people every day.
Almost 5 years ago, I lost my soulmate in an accident. He was killed in a plane crash. Life just, for me, has seemed to stop.
There are groups all over the city. I teach one. It is a specific way to start thinking so that you shift how you see the world, which then shifts your energy, and then you feel better and you actually see things differently.
Carol the Coach. Always available, too, at carolthecoach.com.
Now, I've got Russell on the line.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a truck driver. I'm married. I have a wife in San Francisco.
Okay.
I haven't been home in 6 months. My thing is, I don't know if I have a sex addiction or what the problem is. Why do I want what I can't have? And as soon as I can have it, I don't want it anymore.
You're right on target when you say, I don't know if I have a sexual addiction. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. And you know what? That's my specialty, Russell, so you're at the right place. Continue.
I meet women online, and I'm in a different part of the country. I travel all 48 states, so I love sex.
I hear self-esteem issues. You never felt good enough, and you didn't feel like you were getting what you should have then, and you're reenacting that now. Do you want to change that about yourself?
Well, welcome. Hi there, I'm Carol Jurgensen-Sheets, a.k.a. Carol the Coach, and this is Sex Help with Carol the Coach, specifically designed, the show to help you with sexual addiction. And you know that we oftentimes work with people all over the country who are experts in the field of sexual abuse, sexual addiction, partners of sexual addiction, love addiction. We handle that here. So I am so glad to be with you tonight. Again, as usual, I am working with a woman tonight who is amazing. She has made it her mission to help partners of sex addicts. And so she is actually going to be offering a free webinar to help you if you haven't ever been with a certified sexual addictions therapist and yet you know that you're befuddled as to what to do with sexual addiction. You love somebody who has this problem and you don't know how to get control of your own feelings. She has a webinar specifically designed for you. And so we're going to be talking with Teresa Maples, who's a licensed mental health counselor and certified sexual addictions therapist. She's a tango expert. I know what that's all about. I did the tango expertise, too. She blogs all over the country with tango. And she'll be joining us tonight to discuss an educational healing process that she's developed for partners who have experienced sexual betrayal. So if that sounds like you, I want you to hang tight because there is no doubt that she'll be very helpful in educating you about what you should do if you love somebody who has an addiction. And I know if you're a partner of somebody who has a sexual addiction, you're thinking, that's exactly what I want to know. What can I do to help him? But oftentimes, what is most important is that you help yourself. So I have a feeling Teresa's going to be helping you also to identify how do you help yourself? Where do you turn? What do you do? Because that is by far the toughest issue for anybody who loves somebody with a sexual addiction. It is to figure out how do you take your life and turn it around so that you're, in actuality, focusing on you. So we'll be talking with her in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm wondering if you have a question for me. If you do, my number is 646-595-3284. And you know I'm available to take any calls about anything that has to do with this topic. I mean, let's face it, you just can't ask any therapist. You really need therapists that are trained in the field of sexual addiction. And I'm always telling you, you need to really kind of look for certified sexual addictions therapists because we have the training. We know oftentimes what it takes to improve the quality of your life. And it does get very confusing, and not everybody can help you with this issue. And so I'm always excited to be able to assist you. Again, that number is 646-595-3284. And, last week we had Dan Woodhill, and he talked about why intensive outpatient programs were so important. He spoke as a representative for the Center for Healthy Sex out in Los Angeles, California. And we've got a lot of important people who are going to be talking about their books. They're going to be talking about their projects. If anybody's ever heard of it, is it that complicated? That's a book examining the fallacies of relationships. And Dr. Charles Rawlings is going to be talking with us here in the near future about what are relationships all about and what can you do to enhance your relationship. It can get tricky, let's face it. I remember when I was single. I was single until I was age 44. And I can remember very clearly when I heard Harville Hendricks and John Gottman talking, they both said, you really don't work on yourself until you are in a relationship with someone that you love, because that's when you grow the most. And I thought, well, that's not very good. I mean, gosh, you don't have to be in partnership with somebody to grow and be your fullest person. And that is true. But really what they're saying is that we pick partners in our lives to heal the wounds of our childhood. We end up picking the same partners that exhibit the same issues that we dealt with as a child. And as a result, when you marry somebody who ends up betraying you or challenging your self-esteem or ignoring you, neglecting you, more than likely you are reenacting your childhood on some level. And by marrying that person, you get a second opportunity to make your life better. So think about what you get or don't get in your relationship. If you're an addict, think about it with your partner. And if you're a partner, think about what you get or don't get from your partner who may be an addict. And then think about your childhood. What was that like? Did you get your needs met, or was there somewhat of a struggle? Because that can be very difficult. In my case, I grew up in a family of alcoholics. And I pretty much took the bull by the horns and took care of my younger brother and sister. I took care of my mother and my father. So I was a surrogate spouse as well as a surrogate parent. And as a result, I flew by the seat of my pants. I mean, no child should really have to take care of their family like that. But I did it anyway, and I have to tell you, I got a certain level of self-esteem from being in that position with my family. Now, what I know to be true is that my own issues in life are that oftentimes I feel the most comfortable taking care of others. Hence, I'm a counselor. I'm a radio talk show host. I answer questions. And I needed to do my own good work with a therapist. Actually, I had a therapist. I had a group. I've done seminar after seminar to get healthy enough so that I no longer take care of others because of my unmet childhood issues that I reenact. I now am taking care of others because I'm comfortable doing that and I know what my boundaries are. I don't fly by the seat of my pants like I did in my childhood. I've got lots of expertise in areas so that I can feel confident about the work that I do. Now, I was 44 till I was married. I said I was a poster child for being single. I loved it. I had lots of friends. I had lots of people in my life. And, you know, the interesting thing about that was that when I got married, I married my mother and my father in that. My father did everything for my mother. Everything. Okay, what does that mean? Well, what that meant for me was that I married a man who treated me like my father treated my mother. He does everything for me. I'm sure that's one of the reasons that I can be such an overachiever, is because he takes care of the house, he takes care of the yard, he takes care of the cars. He's just amazing. In the meantime, I married my mother because my husband isn't particularly expressive. He doesn't share his emotions real well. Now, I'm not going to change him. I know that. I have to accept him exactly as he is, and I have to appreciate his strengths, and I have to get that need met in healthy ways with my friends, with my family, with my work, and that's what I do. But if I walked around and expected my husband to give me what he doesn't have to give, I would be doing the same thing that happened in my childhood. So think about your childhood and what is it that you did or did not get as a child, and then ask yourself if you've reenacted that in your partnerships with others, or, you know, maybe you're divorced. Maybe you're divorced once or twice or 3 times, and ask yourself, okay, now what is it that I didn't get in those relationships either? It's important to know what your needs are, what your boundaries are, and then to figure out a way that you can get them met. And that is, in itself, a real positive in your own development. You have to like yourself. You have to know how to get your needs met. You have to set healthy boundaries. You have to have good communicative style. You know, I always say there are 4 ways to really communicate and relate in the world, and one of them is passively, letting anything happen to you. One of them is aggressively, and that's, of course, when you're overly aggressive about what you need. Perhaps you put people down in getting your needs met. You yell, you scream, you punch, you hit. And then there's passive-aggressive, and that is when you get people back behind your back because you don't get your needs met. Boy, I just had a client the other day that said, I can be so passive-aggressive. When I don't get what I want, I absolutely recoil and figure out a way that I can get that person back. I can hurt them because I've been hurt. Well, that's passive-aggressive. And then there's assertive. And assertive means you're clear and direct about what you need, what you want, and what you believe. It doesn't mean you get your needs met, but it means you were clear and direct about your needs. And when you're clear and direct about what you need, what you feel, and what you want, you're on your way to really expressing yourself and finding people that are more likely to help you get those needs met. Now, I said it's no guarantee, but it is extra, it shows that you have extra ability to convey how you feel. And when you do that, then you're much more likely to find people who will meet those needs. And that's what assertiveness is. All right, so that's a little bit about communication. Again, those 4 styles are passive and aggressive, passive-aggressive, and assertiveness. And you always strive for assertiveness. That's the healthy form of communication. So tonight, I'm interviewing Teresa Maples, and she is a licensed mental health counselor and certified sexual addictions therapist who has made it her mission to help sex addicts as well as partners. And she's got a program that she's going to be announcing tonight for partners. So, Teresa, welcome to the Sex Help with Carol the Coach show.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
Yay, I'm great. It's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, absolutely. I mean, how exciting that you've got this project underway, and I definitely want to know a little bit about it. But before I find out about this free webinar that you're going to be offering, tell me a little bit about the types of clients that you see. You know, what's your specialty, Teresa?
Well, I started out seeing all kinds of clients, and what I found is that I work really, really well with partners of sex addicts. Half of my counseling clients are partners of sex addicts, and 25% are sex addicts, and 25% are couples that are struggling with sex addiction. And I keep getting referrals for partners. So what's happening is that the partners of sex addicts are kind of a tough population for some of the therapists because they present with some symptoms that are really difficult to work with, and the symptoms are tough. And the people who are going through them really have a hard time with them. And it's really difficult to find out that your partner is suffering from sex addiction. So I've found a way to work with the partners in a way that helps validate their experience and be able to help them work through a healing process for themselves and stay focused on what they need to do for themselves rather than staying focused on trying to control the sex addict's recovery process and staying focused on trying to control them.
Clearly, when you oftentimes partners do, they want to control the addict. And so their focus is really on the sex addict when oftentimes their focus needs to be on themselves. So now when you find a woman, when you have a woman client who finds out she's been betrayed, what would you say are the typical symptoms that she experiences as being a partner of a sex addict?
Well, I refer to it as being on an emotional roller coaster. So her emotions are going to be all over the place, from numb and shock to murderous rage and everywhere in between. So at times she may feel unworthy, unlovable. At other times she may be angry and having nightmares and obsessive thoughts. She might be preoccupied with where he is and what he's doing. She might be snooping into records, looking into Facebook accounts, looking into bank accounts, looking into Visa accounts, looking into online history. She may be feeling worthless. She may be comparing herself to any partners that he may have had. So there's a huge range of symptoms, and all of the symptoms seem to be clustered around trauma. And that's the thing that we want to help the women to see, is that this finding out about your husband's sex addiction or your partner's sex addiction is really a lot like a trauma that is experienced when men go to war, men or women go to war, and they experience a trauma that severe. The women are experiencing the betrayal and experiencing the same types of symptoms, the nightmares, the obsessive thoughts. All of those things are very similar to war trauma. And so that's what I do at the very beginning when I first start seeing women, is help them understand that they are experiencing a trauma and that their symptoms are really normal for having experienced a trauma. And really, when they really understand that, and that they're normal and that they're not acting crazy, that this is really a normal response for finding out about being betrayed, it really helps calm them down. And so once they're able to calm down, then we can really talk about focusing on how to take care of the symptoms.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say once you help them to calm down, because clearly the body goes through so many responses, you know, from fight to flight to freezing. So tell me, in your opinion, what does an addict do physiologically on a cellular level when they find out how betrayed they've been?
Well, the partners are, when they first find out about their partner being an addict and having betrayed them, there's 3 things that their body does. And these are really survival mechanisms. They're things that our body did in order to survive. And this is evolutionary. It's a state of hyperarousal, and it's something that was built into us as human beings to survive. And we survived because an animal was ready to eat us. And if we didn't do one of these 3 things, we wouldn't have survived. And so the 3 things that we did when this hyperarousal hit us was to fight. We would fight with the animal, or we would flee, so we would run away from the animal, or we would freeze and play dead. So those are the 3 ways that our body would take care of us so that we could survive. So the same thing happens with trauma, in that our body recognizes that there's a threat, and what our body does is go into that hyperarousal state for survival. And so what we want to do in that moment is we want to verbally or physically fight with our partner. You betrayed me. That is a huge threat to survival, and we want to verbally lash out or physically fight with them, or we want to run away and get the heck out of there and never see the person again, or the person might freeze and like have no feelings whatsoever and kind of sit there and just like not have any expression and just kind of wait. And those people, it kind of takes a while for it to settle in what just happened, because when that fight, flight, or freeze sets in, the prefrontal cortex of our brains shuts off. It's like on a computer, the ability to form words and to reason is turned off. So your brain is actually offline. The ability to reason part is offline. And we're not able to think during that time. So what we need to do is be able to recognize that we're in that fight, flight, or freeze mode and be able to recognize that we're not able to think then. And the reason why we can't think is because if you're being chased by a lion, your brain needs to react, have you run or run away or fight in order to survive. It doesn't need to figure out and reason with a lion. We just need to run or do what we need to do to survive. Yeah. So your brain reacts to cheating in much the same way. It would react as if that lion was trying to eat you. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And so then how do you help women especially whose bodies freeze like that? What can a woman do to help herself with these types of symptoms? I mean, what kind of tools can you give them?
Well, what I usually talk about is self-care. And self-care is really, really tough, especially for women. Many of us have been trained that we're supposed to take care of everybody else. We're supposed to take care of our man. We're supposed to take care of our kids. We're supposed to take care of our extended family members. But when it comes to taking care of ourselves, it's really, really difficult for a lot of women to do. So I do a lot of helping people to value themselves enough to take care of themselves and to recognize that if they don't take care of themselves, who's going to do it? And most people can recognize that no one's going to do it unless they do it themselves. And so we just really start taking that apart and going, talking about self-care and the things that they can do to take care of themselves. One of the things that they need to learn how to do is use the word no. And that's really hard for women to do, really hard. So we talk about that. Other steps to self-care is learning how to calm themselves. And so I teach self-calming techniques like deep breathing. Another one that works really well is having the woman touch her finger to her pulse and just focusing on all of her attention on her pulse is a good way to kind of ground yourself and be able to just get yourself back in the moment. So especially for the people who freeze, that's a really good one to help pull them back into the moment.
Right, it does. It keeps them in the moment, and it reminds them that they they do have a pulse. They can regulate their emotions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another one I do is help them focus on their breathing. Again, focusing all of their attention on their breath moving in and out of their lungs. And again, that's important for them to stay in the moment and be present. So calming is important. Learning how to soothe themselves. So a lot of us women will carry around negative self-talk and tell our, the comparison piece. Why did he pick that affair partner? What does she have that I don't have? And so what I do with that is help them come up with positive affirmations for themselves that is in direct response to that fear and that comparison, the negative self-talk that they have, and encourage them to say the affirmations on a daily basis, even if they don't believe them, because eventually if you do say them on a daily basis, eventually your brain will start to believe it. And people don't believe it at first, but honestly, if you do it every single day and you actually try to believe it every single day, that eventually those new neural pathways in your brain will start to believe it, and then you'll feel like you believe it. So that's really helpful too.
Well, and that is in so many ways that fake it till you make it response, where you act as if you believe it, and eventually it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I also use go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, those are great tools. So you've got some additional tools that you teach women?
Oh, yeah, there's lots of stuff. Guided imagery, meditation. I've been trained in art therapy, so I do a lot of that. That's really wonderful. A lot of people have been trained out of having feelings, and so art therapy is a great way to get in touch with feelings and learn more about what your feelings are and be able to actually see them in a way that you can't verbalize. And that's been a really great way for people to identify what their feelings are. When they look at them, they can see them and understand them better than trying to come up with some word that they are kind of grasping at straws with. So that's been a great way to identify their feelings and validate their feelings. I also help them with learning that exercise is really helpful to self-care. It helps with their relieving stress and helping them to feel good about their bodies. And it also releases endorphins that helps you feel better. So it's a natural way to feel good. I also talk to them about nutrition and eating whole foods and 3 to 5 small balanced meals per day and drinking water, because exercise, nutrition, and is all part of self-care. If you're not eating well, you're not going to feel good. So I make sure that I talk about all areas of self-care. I also talk about spiritual practice and what sort of way that people get their connection to a higher power, and whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for them. For some people, it's a walk in nature. For other people, it's going to church. For other people, it's prayer or meditation. So whatever that looks like for that person, making sure that they include that in their self-care. So those are things that I kind of work with them about, making sure that they have a plan to take care of themselves in that way.
Well, it's so interesting that you employ so many different types of tools that, if there's somebody that has to work with their body, obviously nutrition and water and exercise is going to make a difference for them there. If they work with the right side of their brain, obviously poetry or art therapy or journaling is going to work there. And if they're very reality-oriented and very sequential in their thinking, it may be that you have them come up with some boundaries or some self-affirmations or something that they can really intellectually understand. It seems like you hit every aspect of what they could conceivably need.
Yeah, I try to be pretty holistic and include anything that is really living healthy so that they can learn how to live a healthy life and transform their life from how they've been living it into a healthy life so that they can model that for the rest of their family. Because if they can learn to live a healthy life, then they can teach that to their family members. And then if their whole family learns how to live a healthy life, then it's better for everyone.
Well, absolutely, and clearly it's better for everyone. But what I believe is that because they're teaching people how to treat them, because they've learned how to say no, because they've improved their self-esteem, they have better sense of confidence to know how to handle this very difficult situation. I mean, betrayal is by far one of the toughest traumas to undergo. I always say when it comes to addicts, they carry around the shame, but when it comes to partners, they carry around the pain.
Right.
So all these tools that you just gave us, all these calming tools, can really help a woman get back in touch with who she really is and what she really needs in her life. Now, do you find that women tend to isolate themselves when they've been betrayed? And if so, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Generally when what I have found is that in my practice is that women will show up in my office and they have been isolated. They have heard bits and pieces of their husband's story of betrayal, and they don't want to tell any of their family members because they don't want to set their husband up for judgment. But I also believe that they don't want to be judged with their partner, and they don't want their family members to judge them if they decide to stay. I also think that the women also say that they don't want to tell their friends for the same sorts of reasons, that they don't want their friends telling them, you need to leave him, you need to do this, you need to do that. So they just really don't want to be judged or told what to do. And the women who have told some of their friends are being told by their friends what to do. So there really is some validity in that fear of telling other people. So there really is some isolation that happens. Even if they've told, like I've had some women tell their pastor that their husband has been looking at online porn, and horror of horrors, the pastor tells them porn is okay, like they need to get over it, which further traumatizes the woman. So all of these experiences cause trauma to the woman and make her want to isolate even more, because even reaching out for help, she gets traumatized again. So it just reinforces that she doesn't want to tell anyone. So what I would encourage her to do is to find a therapist that works with partners of sex addicts or partners of therapists who work with partners of people who are working with infidelity or something like that, just so that they are getting the specialty that they need. Even I've had couples come in who have been working with general therapists who have not had specialized training in working with partners of sex addicts, and the partners will come in and just tell story upon story of being told that they should just get over their husbands looking at porn, that's just what guys do, and it's okay that they look at porn, and the women just feel traumatized because it's so against their beliefs and values, and it just does not fit into their belief system that that advice is just not welcome, and so it just further traumatizes them. So,
well, and I would think, here is a woman who's been traumatized anyway by the betrayal, and deep down inside, whenever anything bad happens to us, we wonder, how did we contribute to the problem? So she's wondering about that anyway, and then an alleged expert in the field tells her to get over it or to just work with it, and it further shakes her confidence. And so that is why it is so important to work with a certified sexual addictions therapist. And for anybody out there listening, you can go to sexhelp.com and put in your zip code and find out who is the closest certified sexual addictions therapist in your area. And if you don't have one, there are a lot of people that will work with and through Skype to actually help that process. So I'm glad that you're bringing up something that happens, unfortunately, a lot more than we professionals would like to believe.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for people when that happens. So just encourage people to get the right help. And just because your insurance pays for a certain therapist doesn't mean they have the tools that you need. So even if it costs more to go to a CSAT, if they have the information that is helpful to you, it's worth the investment. It's just like if you had heart surgery, if you needed heart surgery and you went to, and you could only afford a general practitioner to do the heart surgery, would you do it? I don't think so. You would go to the heart surgeon. So it's the same sort of thing for this.
That is a good analogy. And unfortunately, sometimes the partners will pay for any amount of money for the addict, but want to scrimp when it comes to their own needs. And that's it's important to get your needs met.
Yeah. And I've had, I've worked with some therapists that haven't, shared a couple. Like, the wife sees a therapist that's not CSAT trained, and I see the addict who is CSAT, I'm CSAT trained, and it sometimes makes a mess because the other therapist doesn't know what we're doing, and so it really is helpful if both therapists are on board and know exactly what the treatment plan is and how it's working. It is really helpful to have the same treatment goals in place. I've just seen a lot of crazy stuff happen if the person is not trained with the CSAT information. We actually have had a lot of training to work with sexual addiction and partners of sex addicts. We went through almost like a whole nother graduate school to get this training. And honestly, I didn't know how to treat sex addiction before I got the training. I was just one of those therapists that didn't know what I was doing. So I know it makes a difference to get the training, because it made a difference in my practice before and after the training. So I just wanted to share that too.
Well, tell me, who did you get trained with?
For the, what do you mean? Like, you and I went to
you
the...
You said that you went through a whole...
module together.
Got it. Okay.
I got trained... Yeah, I got trained by Patrick Carnes in the CSAT modules, and Stephanie Carnes, and yeah, it was fabulous.
Well, I agree. You know, there are certain people that are CSATs that are now even taking the partner trainings to another level, because I've actually interviewed some of them. And I just really believe that the more specialized help partners can get with a certified sexual addictions therapist, the faster they'll heal and the better they'll do. So I have one more question before I ask you about our webinars. I am talking with Teresa Maples. She is an MS, a licensed mental health counselor and certified sexual addictions therapist. Her website, at least one of them, is www.couplesthrive.net. That's COUPLES Thrive, THRIVE.net. Now, Teresa, you know, we talked about, do you feel like women tend to isolate? And you said absolutely. They in no way want to have others look down on them or on their partners, the addicts. Now, you think it's pretty important to connect socially with those who understand. I mean, shame hinders connections. So who would you have a partner spend time with for connections purposes?
Well, I've actually, starting a year ago in September, I started a women's group for partners. And those women are still meeting today, and that is their, number one social group. They are in contact with each other almost daily, and it is, so supportive and so connecting for them. It's just something that has just been a wonderful connection for them. All the women get it about sex addiction. They connect with the pain that each of them has felt, and they all have been able to watch each other grow through this process of healing. And it's just been really wonderful for them to be able to be together as they go through this process. So I would encourage anyone to try and get into a Partners of Sex Addiction group. It has been incredibly healing for each of the women that's been in that group. I actually have 3 groups going now because it's been so popular. So, yeah, so it's really awesome. There's also 12-step groups that that are for women who are partners of sex addicts. Some of those groups will call women co-addicts or codependents. Some of the women really don't like those terms, but if the terms don't hang you up, there's some really good things that you can get from those groups too. So,
yeah, it's so impressive that you have made it your mission to help women with this kind of problem. Now, tell me about the webinars that are coming up on March 10th.
Sure. The webinar is called Surviving to Thriving, and it's help for women after discovering your partner has cheated. And that's the title of the webinar. And what we're going to show you is ways that you can maintain your emotional stability. That's at fight, flight, or freeze. Stuff that we talked about earlier after learning about his infidelities. We're going to learn to identify your own emotional and physical needs rather than focusing on what he is or isn't doing. And we're going to identify when boundaries are needed for your own personal, emotional, physical, and spiritual safety. And we're going to learn how to trust yourself to take the next steps for healing. So those are the things that we're going to touch on in the webinar. And it's going to be an hour and a half, and it starts at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, March 10th.
Okay, now tell people what a webinar is, because not everybody may know what they can expect. What do they do when they participate in a webinar?
Okay, well, if you go to, probably the easiest way to sign up if you want to come to the webinar would be to go on Facebook and search for Couples Thrive. I have a new Facebook page called Couples Thrive, and it has a link to my my page to sign up, and it will say I put an event in there, and it says Surviving to Thriving, and it says tickets, and it if you click on tickets, it'll take you right to the page that you can sign up, and then you just put in your name and your email address, and then click send, and it will automatically enter you into, it'll reserve your spot, and then you'll get a free gift from me, and you'll decide if you want to take the free gift. If you don't, that's fine. If you do, that's great. You can read through it and see if that's something that you want to do. If you, you'll also get an email with all the information about the webinar. So the email will tell you how to log in. It's on anymeeting.com, so it'll give you the website address and how to log in. You can also phone in, but there will be a PowerPoint presentation, and I will be speaking through the on my phone. So when you log in on the computer, you'll see the PowerPoint, and I'll be talking as you're looking at the PowerPoints. So that's how the meeting will go. And I'll have a question and answer at the end, so people can raise their hands and ask questions, and I'll answer them live on the phone.
Wow, that is incredible. And so people don't know who's at the webinar. You certainly can ask questions, and you're able to get that information from them. But all this is anonymous. It's not like you're announcing that you're a partner of a sex addict. And they don't see you, you don't see them, because really when you look at your computer screen, what you're all looking at together is the PowerPoint presentation of the information that you're providing.
Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, for anybody that's interested, go to www.couplesthrive.net, go to Facebook, and again, Teresa, when they go to Facebook, they'll look for Couples Thrive.
Yeah, if you go to my website, at the very bottom there's a Facebook link, just a little S at the bottom. If you click on that, it'll go to that Facebook page, and then there's an invitation with the event listed there, and you can just click on the invitation and click on the ticket. And when you click on the ticket, it'll take you to the page that you can sign up. And you just click on claim your spot, and you'll click on claim your spot, and then you'll put in your name and your email address, and then you're signed up.
And then we've made it real easy for our listeners, because you can go to listen to this show, obviously, whether you subscribe to iTunes and get it through iTunes or you go directly to Blog Talk. As you're reading the description of tonight's show, there is a link there that you can just click on, and it will take you directly to the free webinar, Surviving to Thriving. So that's awesome. Another easy way that you can get that information. Now, before we end, I want you to tell our listeners about your new educational product that you have for partners of sex that you've developed.
Okay. The product that I have developed is a 8-week intensive, and it's specifically for partners of sex addicts or partners who have been betrayed, that are ready to make a change in their life. They know that they have established patterns and they want to create a new life. It's for people who value themselves and want to transform their life and move into a healthy lifestyle for themselves and for their family. A lot of us get stuck in old patterns that we learned when we were little. And so the intensive is for people who are ready for that transformational change. Many people are in that crisis mode of just finding out about the deception that's happened in their relationship, and many of those people are in need of crisis counseling right at this moment. This program is not for you. You need some counseling right now to get you through this crisis. So that's something that I can help you get, like Carol was talking about, sexhelp.com can help you get to that counselor that is trained to help you with this. This program is for those people who are wanting to change those embedded, ingrained patterns and that you've been aware of for a while, and that you want to change and move into that thriving life that you would love to have but don't know how to get there.
All right. Well, obviously you've got a lot of exciting things for people in this situation, and I so appreciate you helping us today understand a little bit more about our common reactions. I mean, clearly, again, addicts have a lot of shame, and they certainly have a lot of self-blame, and they're working through their issues, but the partners oftentimes put themselves on the back burner, and you have brought them to the forefront. And Teresa Maples, I thank you so much. You can go to her website, and that is www.couplesthrive.net. And she has a special link, teresamaples.leadpage.net /help for -partners -of -sex -addicts. So feel free to go to our site to figure out how you can sign up for this free webinar that starts March 10th. Again, you said that's 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time?
And 2 p.m. Eastern.
Are you there?
Are you there? Yeah.
Yeah. So what time is that on March 10th?
11 a.m. Pacific time.
Very good. Teresa, thank you so much, and we will have you back to find out how it went. You have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Carol. It was nice to be here. Thanks.
Great to have you. Have a great one. All right,
okay.
Everybody, we'll talk to you next week for more Sex Help with Carol the Coach. And as I say at the end of every show, there will only be one of you at all times, so fearlessly have the courage to be yourself.